Hello, Barb here from barbstamps.com, and it's time for my July Totally Techniques Online Club video. My Totally Techniques Online Club is comprised of people that purchase a minimum $30 from me each month, and they do that between the 1st and the 22nd of the month with my host code that's provided on my blog at barbstamps.com. And then they must email me and let me know that they want to be part of the club. So when you're part of the club, you order consecutively for 6 months in a row, $30 each month. And then each month I provide you with a technique of the month. And so what my girls are going to get this month is the greeting card using the technique of the month, plus the instruction card that they can then keep. I started this last month, so here are my June cards. Here's my sample card with the instructions, and then here's the card, and I just keep them in one of our wood-mounted plastic cases. And so, like I said, you order $30 a month from me using my monthly host code. You do that for 6 consecutive months. At the end of that 6 months, I will gift you with a $30 gift certificate to purchase anything you would like. I have a tracking sheet on my blog at barbstamps.com that you must keep track of. You must keep track of your own orders. I'm not going to do that for you. And at the end of your 6 months, you mail me the form and I will order the products for you. So let me get the supplies for the technique and we will get started. All right, here are the supplies that we're going to use on this particular card. We're going to use a layer of black that's 8.5 by 5.5. We have a piece of white that is about 3 3/4 by 5. And then I have a layer of Coastal Cabana that measures 3 3/8 by 4 5/8. And then I have a skinny strip of silver foil sheet that we're going to put on our card base. So we're going to go ahead and start right away with the technique. Now I've got some pieces of scrap paper here to cover my work surface because working with ink is a little bit messy. We're also going to be using the ridiculously awesome sentiment stamp set. And we're going to be using the You Got This sentiment. I've got my artistry blooms, adhesive backed sequins, and then I've got some silver edged metallic ribbon. We're going to be using Stays On ink for our sentiment. It's just a super nice dark black, and I like that for stamping on colored cardstock. And then we're going to be using our 2-inch circle punch. So we also need some baby wipes, of course, and some re-inkers. So the re-inkers or ink refills, whatever you want to call them, that I've chosen are Granny Apple Green, Mango Melody, Coastal Cabana, and Highland Heather. All right, so you need a baby wipe. So we will pull this one out of here. You're going to want to fold it in half. And then you will fold it in half again. And so we will be applying our ink to the single fold here. Whereas you can see there are 2 folds on this side of the baby wipe. We're going to be using our ink on the single side. So I'm going to take the lids off of my re-inkers. And now, how many passes you're going to get with your baby wipe is going to depend on how wet it is to begin with. Mine isn't super wet, so we'll see what happens. So I'm going to start with some Mango Melody right here, and I'm just squirting out a little bit. Then I'm going to put in my Granny Apple Green, and I'm going to kind of separate these a little bit so they're not right next to each other. Coastal Cabana, so there's about 1/8 of an inch between all the colors, give or take. And if you don't like messy hands, I highly recommend wearing some gloves. I don't mind getting ink on my hands. So all you do is you're going to flip this baby wipe over so that the colors are down. And we're just going to swipe that straight down. And then you can swipe it down again. And we'll bring in another piece of cardstock. And we'll start up here this time. You can see I didn't get my purple very well. So what I can do is I can just put a finger on my purple and then swipe that one. And then we'll come back in with those colors. And that is literally all there is to it. And then you would set those aside to dry. Let's bring in another one, see if we can get it to go again here. Like I said, how many passes you get is going to depend on how wet your wipe is. So my wipe is getting a little bit dried out already. And so you can see that the ink is not passing as well as it did the first couple times that we did it. But I still think it's an interesting look. I don't hate it. And let's see, we could even just swipe a little bit down on that end too. And that is how you do the baby swipe technique. And now, like I said, you will get ink on yourself if you don't wear gloves. And even if I had a glove on, I still would have gotten ink there. So I'm going to go wash my hands. All right, that probably took me about 30 seconds or so. You do want to allow your paper to dry because you did just add ink and baby wipe fluid to it. So it might be a little bit wet. So we'll work on some of the other parts of the project. All right, so like I said, my piece of Coastal Cabana is 3 3/8 by 4 5/8. And I'm going to cut a circle out of the middle because I'm going to end up layering my stripe onto this. And so it's going to cover up my hole. So like I said, I do want to use StazOn. It's a nice, true, dark black. And since I'm going to be stamping on my Coastal Cabana cardstock, I just wanted something super dark. There we go. Put the lid on, move that out of the way. All right, now I'm going to bring in my 2-inch circle punch, and we're going to crop this out. About like so. Like I said, we're going to cover up that hole, so we don't need to worry about that. So these are probably dry-ish. Now I would take a look at the ones, and I kind of feel like this one I do like quite a bit. I've got a little weirdness right down here, but I can always cover that up with my circle. So I'm going to go with this piece. I'm going to cut this to 3 1/4 by 4 1/2. Now I don't want to cut off all of my color, so I'm going to kind of do this a little bit slowly. So I still have some of the yellow on that side. And then I still have some of the green on this side. Okay. And then I'm going to come in here and 4 1/2. Whoops, this little tiny thing isn't going to work for 4 1/2. It goes to 4 1/4. So we will just bring in another trimmer. So we're going to cut this. There we go. 4 1/2. And that, what did I say? This was, my gosh, I'm losing my mind. Yeah, that's 3 3/8. This needs to be 3 1/4. Did I cut this at 3? Oh, I cut it too long. Okay, start. We're going to come back in here and we're going to cut off the green. Are we going to get, yeah, I think we're going to go with most of the green. Is that 3 1/4? Yes. Okay. And did I cut it the long way, the right? Okay, yes. Now it's correct. Wow, what do you know about that? Okay, I'm going to bring in my seal adhesive, and I'm just going to add some adhesive across this layer here. And if you haven't ever seen me use the seal before, I struggled with it when I first got it, but I have now mastered it. I'm just gently applying it, and then I tip it forward, and the adhesive just snaps right off. So it's really been working for me great. I highly recommend it. It's amazing, and it sticks really, really well. Okay, so we have that. Let's move those out of the way and our sentiment. We don't need the punch. We're going to fold the layer of black in half. And sometimes it's hard to see on black, so get the bone folder there. Then I have a little skinny strip of silver foil. Pardon my Band-Aid. I almost sliced the tip of my thumb off using my brand new Pampered Chef knives. So I'm almost not recommending them because they're too sharp. That's a joke. I recommend them highly. They're great knives. Okay, so I've got the fold of my black on one of the lines on my grid paper, and then I'm going to put this little strip at about the 3rd line in. And it's a little bit long so that I can sort of see where I want to place it. There we go. That should be nice and even. And then we'll cut off the excess. I debated filming this until my finger got better, but, you know, I got to do what I got to do. Okay, there we go. Then we can attach this to the top here. Same thing. So as I lay down the adhesive, I just tip that forward and the piece just breaks off. Oh, come on you. There we go. Okay, and we're going to center this on the card. Okay, and we do have that little spot at the bottom, like I said, that I'm going to cover up because it's not my favorite part of the card. All right, so I've got my white ribbon here, and I'm going to zigzag this. Crop that end off there. Okay. And I'm going to bring in a piece of tape, and I'm going to attach it to this. Now I'm going to attach this to the front of my card where I kind of want it to be, the direction that I want it to go. I think like that's fine. So I'm going to bring in another piece of tape and just tape it down. Great. And then I did a Facebook Live the other night, and I used some of our new adhesive sheets, our foam adhesive sheets, to cut out some letters. And so I've got these little extra pieces here, so I'm going to use them as dimensionals. We'll just peel the backing off of that. And then we'll peel the backing off of this. So I kind of feel like I got free dimensionals here. Okay. Peel those backings off of those pieces. And then we can just lay this right over the top of our ribbon. All right. And then the last thing I've got is some of our Artistry Blooms sequins, and I'm going to use the yellowish ones. Oh, I guess I should have put the lids back on my re-inkers. Depending on how many of these you're doing at one time, you might want to leave the lids off, you know, so they're easier to access. That one's a mango. Okay. That way I won't have any problems come up. All right. So you might take your pick tool here, and we are going to pick off a few of these little guys. And I thought I'd just stick them up here on the card. There we go. Isn't that cute? Let me bring in back my other ones. So here would be a set that would be ready to go. And here's another one, and you can see, oh, whoops, that one's not done. This is the one I meant to grab. And this one, I did it the opposite direction. So I think it looks great both ways, either way you want to do it. This one, I did do a little splattering of marker, and I can go ahead and show you on one of my sample pieces here how you do that, because it is a pretty cool technique. Maybe you didn't see it. All this little splattery stuff on there, which I think looks pretty cool. So I'll bring my scratch paper back in here and a marker. So this is our basic black Stampin' Write marker, and all I need to do is I pull off the brush tip, and then I'm just going to stick it into the cap and flick it out. Can you see all those little black dots that are getting on my project? And I think that adds just a little bit of something to your project. I think it's pretty cool looking. So I will probably flick the rest of these before I get them ready to mail out. So if you enjoyed this technique, please give my video a thumbs up. Definitely give my video a thumbs up for my cut off thumb, because it is pretty tender right here. I always cut it off. Subscribe to my channel right down here in the corner to make sure you get notified when I upload new videos, and then click that little notification bell, because YouTube isn't always the greatest at sending out notifications. So thank you guys again for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.